Thursday. It's Thursday. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in this fine Thursday afternoon. It is 1 o'clock Eastern on a lovely Thursday. I think I shared a beautiful picture on my personal page of what I woke up to this morning. An absolutely glorious feast for your eyes. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Terry. Hi, Sherry. Hi, everybody. Come on in. Let's get down on it. I'm really excited to have everybody here. Catherine, Bobby's here. Hey, hey yourself. Hey is for horses. I don't think there's a lot of carbs in that. Just a thought. So everybody's getting here. You love my hair. This is me in curly action, you guys. I just let it dry. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to let it go curly. It's still a little damp. What do you want? I see Roberta, Trisha. You like it, Trisha? You like my new hair? Well, hello. Hello, Mary Orr in Oceanside. And Diane, lovely to see all of you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining me today. Having a good time. I think Marla already shared about our little grocery store binge yesterday. And you know, the funny thing about it is, this is the hilarious part. I hate shopping. I don't like going to malls. I don't like buying things. I'm not a big buyer of things. Listen, if I have a bunch of clothes that work, then I'm good. I really, every once in a while I think, I just need something new just to kind of for fun. But I lost my shopping gene a million years ago. So yesterday, we go in, I find the shoes, and by the way, they're these incredible, I'll show you one. They're New Balance. They're so great. New Balance, aren't they cute? They're just black New Balance shoes. So I'm just really happy about that. Anyway, so we go in, find the shoes, I buy them. We're out of there in 10 minutes. I saw one shirt that I liked. It was a buffalo, because it had a lot of things, and they had a lot of really and good brands. And they had a buffalo check, black and white buffalo check flannel shirt that was super cute. It was long. It had little pockets. I really liked it. And Marla's like, it won't look good on camera. I want that shirt. So I didn't do it. I just got all I did was get my shoes, and I'm tying back up, you guys, because it feels weird otherwise. So just deal with me doing this. So I just got my shoes and walked out of there. 10 minutes later, we were done. And then Marla says, well, let's go to the fresh market. Now I have a meal set. We're going to do garlic lime chicken. We're going to make a big spinach salad with bacon. It's set. I've got Mark on the alert. He's got, pull everything out. We're on our way home. We stop at the Whole Foods. Marla says we should stop at the Whole Foods. So we stop at the Whole Foods. We go into or it wasn't Whole Foods. I'm sorry. It was the Fresh Market, which if you're on the East Coast, you know about the Fresh Markets. It's really great. And, we live here. When living in Boulder, I was spoiled to death because basically anything you could possibly want was there. It was the best grocery shopping ever because, it's a hippy dippy town. It's also, there's a Google there, Google headquarters or satellite off, whatever there. It's really, it's a hipster town. And so they've got everything. Whole Foods is right across from Trader Joe's, and there's other natural grocery. There's all these places, and it's Mecca. So here I'm just like really hard to find some good avocados on occasion. So that's kind of a thing. But nonetheless, when she said Fresh Market, my eyes lit up like, oh, you're saying Fresh Market? That's like an invitation to Disneyland with free parking for me. I said, okay, let's go. So in we go. And honestly, yes, we spent a whole hour there. And we befriended the entire store, by the way, because Marla likes to talk and so do I. And we had the cheese guy hunting us down in the aisles so that he could try to get us to buy some other kind of cheese. We were hungry too when we went in there. All we'd had all day is some little bit of bone broth. And it was just an actual act. It was just hilarious. We just really, really had a good time. So we left an hour later, and we had everything that you can imagine. Everything. We had that beautiful charcuterie board. We put that out there. We did a couple of posts on that in the sprint, and I think in the hot melt diet group, so you could see what we had. And we've completely changed the menu. We decided on a salmon, so I made hot melt salmon. And for you who've had the hot melt salmon, you can find it here, by the way. You can search in Saving Dinner's Facebook, and you can see me making it. That's what we had last night. Although we grilled the salmon on the grill, which was fabulous. We still had the seasoning on top, and then we did the avocado stuff. It was amazing. That's what we had. And then we had the roasted Brussels sprouts that Marla made them with a ton of bacon, and we drizzled a little balsamic on the top, a little salt and pepper. And when I say little, I'm talking little because that has a little bit of carbs in it. And then we had a big salad with blue cheese dressing that was just like bam on that dressing was pretty off the hook. You know, you get a craving every once in a while, and that blue cheese, when she started mentioning blue cheese, my mouth actually started salivating. Have you ever sat there and drooled when somebody was telling you about something? That was me. So I was a foodie in food paradise, and I'm not going to lie, I had the best time. I know Marla was ready to go, but I was drinking it all in. There is just nothing like going into a good grocery store with a bunch of different stuff where you have to, like, instead of just taking one thing, you have a huge selection and you're going, oh, I just don't know what to choose. So that's how it was for us. And we had a blast. So anyway, I will get on to today's subject. But first of all, I want to remind anybody who's a hot melt dieter that today at 2:00, that's going to be pretty much, a half hour or so after this broadcast is done, that you go into the hot melt diet group, and there we are going to be doing a teaching and a coaching. And I'm going to be teaching today about collagen loading and about dirty fasting. So it's going to be really fun. So please make an attempt to be there. And I'm also going to ask you to, when you're in there, hold your questions, because at the end we're going to do some coaching and I'm going to bring you on screen. So go put on your lipstick and look lovely. There you go. So our subject today, we're going to talk a little bit about food addiction, because I know about that as a fellow foodie and food addiction. That's what we can do. But today I'm going to share, with the screen going the right way, our quote of the week, which is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. What we do and what our brains do is they're busy. Always, always, always. We're always looking for affirmation of what we believe. This is why sometimes we'll post, anybody else feel like this, when we go to a thing, oh, I've got a Charlie horse. Anyone else feel this way? We want to make sure that we are confirmed in what we're thinking about ourselves. We want to confirm what we think about other things out there. And this is why we have the polarizing opinions out there when it comes to, you understand this, when it comes to politics, religion, and food. We like to line up with people who believe the same thing that we do. That's what we do. And it can get super polarizing out there, and it can be absolutely ridiculous because it leaves out the human element. It leaves out the opportunity to grow and expand. It leaves out empathy sometimes, a lot of times, especially when you start getting into religion. Well, you get into any of them. It can be really excruciating to watch us as humans treat other people the way that we treat them. But what is important here is understanding that this is a human, knee-jerk reaction, that we want to align ourselves with people who believe the same things that we do. We want to align ourselves with people who think the same way we do. And then when we have a thought, we're going to be actively searching for the evidence that will support the things that we think. This is why we have such divergent opinions. If you go, depending on what news station that you watch. It's going to support a certain opinion wherever you are. And while you could get into a whole thing, well, this supports this evidence and, tit for tat and back and forth and back and forth, that person over here on the left is not going to believe this person over here on the right. And, therein never our twain shall meet. And we do this with food. And we do this with religion. And I have been in the religious world. I had a Christian radio show on KBRT in beautiful Southern California years and years ago. And I was really discouraged at the time by the unbelievable polarizing opinions and so many of them splintered throughout. People would be basically calling somebody who didn't believe that, if unless they were dunked, they weren't really baptized, and no, it's sprinkling and it's baptism. I mean, all the things. And there's just the plethora of things that you could, go get yourself all wrapped up around is just crazy. And I went down that rabbit hole a little bit. That was part of my whole thing. And what I've found in all of these things, and why I line them all up together, is that we believe what we want to believe. And we're going to always look for the evidence to support our beliefs. That's just how it works. If we believe that we cannot do something, we're going to look for an effort that failed. We're going to look at other people who weren't successful either. And we're going to start finding things that are going to take down that other idea. So, for example, with food, like I explained, if it's keto, or somebody is saying something horrible about keto, you're going to go read a book that's going to disparage keto and dismiss the other stuff as well. That's just, anecdotal evidence. Or the opposite of, on the opposite side with vegans, vegetarians, etc. Or you'll find somebody who's a hero, guru, teacher who says this, so therefore all of this is wrong. And this is part of the human equation. I mean, this is what happens, right? But our brains are looking forever for that kind of evidence. And when we find that evidence, that's how we're going to support what it is that we're doing. Okay, so just understand that about yourself. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's just how it works. And this is what makes us feel better about ourselves, feel better about our choices, and able to walk, in the straight and narrow, or able to go and continue doing what we're doing. We believe in it. People are dying, literally will kill themselves and die for what it is that they believe. And that's how it is. So if our belief system is that set, then we need to understand that as we're trying to make new rules for ourselves. We have to set up new belief systems oftentimes and scrap some of the stuff that forever and ever, amen, has been holding us back. Food, for example. Food addiction is a real and present danger. Food addiction is the thing that a lot of us who are especially in the food world, can get stuck on. And what you need to understand, and I think this is where, it gets so tricky, is you can't just divorce yourself from food and say, I'm not going to eat anymore. Like an alcoholic can say, that's it, I'm done drinking. I'm going to go to a 12-step program and take care of myself and just cut that nonsense out. It doesn't work that way. We're still always 100% going to need to eat and drink something, which alcohol we can easily take out, but we cannot do this with food. So if we understand that, and we understand that there's trigger things and there's things that happen within the food pyramid itself, then we need to start drilling it down to what is true for us and what works and what doesn't. And this is why that individual stuff that we talk about, that I talk about all the time, is so critically important. And this is why you need to start dismissing the gurus once and for all out of your life. There's no one person who's going to be able to make a decision for you that's going to help you to dial in your diet, because you're the one who lives inside of your body and knows. That's what I talked about, yesterday or the day before or whatever. It was talking about knowing your knowing and understanding that it's not about willpower. It's about knowing. And it's not about what so-and-so is doing or so-and-so else is doing or anything. You have to bring it in to who you are. And when you can start doing that, then you're going to start to be able to make decisions and think about things a little bit differently. And what you're going to believe in, you're going to know. What you're going to believe in and what you're going to know is going to start to change the things that you do. What you need to believe in right now is you need to believe in the, if this is such a word, lethality, I don't know, the lethalness of sugar. You need to start believing that. And if you don't believe that now, start doing some research. Start looking and finding the evidence that supports how dangerous sugar is. Type 2 and type 3 diabetes. Type 3 diabetes is Alzheimer's, you guys. It's all related. It's related to inflammation. It's related to what sugar does to your body and how it sucks the very life out of you. All the diseases, all the chronic diseases, they're all, you just keep going. Do the research and keep going down and down and down. And what's at the base of it? You're going to find sugar, excess sugar. And sugar just doesn't love us anymore. It doesn't. It's harmed us big time. I want to share something with you too, something that happens. When you get the sugar out, you're going to start tasting things that previously to you maybe even tasted bitter and aren't anymore, or sour and are not anymore. An example, this morning I was using some lemon. I had a cup of bone broth and I usually squeeze some lime, do a little sriracha, a little pink salt in there in my bone broth. I really like it that way. I think it tastes nice, that little tart thing with the lime. And I didn't have any limes cut up, but I did have some lemon. So like I said, usually I use the lime. So today I used lemon. And as I squeezed the lemon, it got all over my fingers and I just, tasted it. That lemon tasted sweet. Not like sweet, overpowering, like, oh my gosh, I just dipped my hand in a, sugar bowl, but it tasted sweet. And I noticed that I tasted the sweetness that was in there that I could never taste before, simply because I had taken the sugar out. So that's interesting. And watch how your taste buds change. Your taste buds change as you train them differently. And that's what the sprint is about, by the way. And we will start again sprinting in October 7th. That's a week and a half away. So it's time to get ready and it's time to get signed up if you haven't. If you've already signed up, don't worry, you don't need to do it again. The plan hasn't changed. I might add some new things in there. I might throw a little fun thing in there every once in a while. But enjoying your new set of taste buds is a matter of getting rid of the stuff that have overpowered you before and start adding in the other things. So nature abhors a vacuum, right? So as we take things out, we need to start putting things in. So if we're taking out the sugar, oftentimes a big mistake is trying to replace that sugar with something that is a sugar-like substance, a fake sugar, or even a natural sugar like stevia or monk fruit or whatever, trying to duplicate something that was part of our old life. Now, there's two schools of thought here, and the two schools of thought are both correct. So yes, you can do that, and no, you can't. If you don't take the time to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, then you're always going to find yourself in a place where you're saying, well, it should work because it's working for Cindy Lou down the road here. It should work because it's doing this, or I can't believe, why can't I have that? Or whatever. You don't ever want to be in the place where you're absolutely 100% hooked on somebody else's opinion or thinking that you should be able to have anything. Stop shoulding all over yourself and instead start doing the research that tells you what it is that you need to do. In other words, not everybody is going to be sensitive to stevia or monk fruit. And it's a good, what I call a bridge food. It helps you to go over that bridge and it helps you to dismiss sugar from your life. If you had a standard American diet, which, if you look at 90% of what's in the grocery store, it's complete and utter crap. But if that's how, you've been eating, and you've just had, done the best that you can and done all of this, and there's been a lot of packaged foods in your life, a lot of garbage there and all the rest of it, then be prepared. It takes a minute. It takes a minute to change over and to get rid of that stuff. And instead to have a grocery cart that's filled with good protein, good healthy fat, and produce. I had a woman one time who walked up to me, and I called it grocery cart envy. I think I wrote a blog post on it years ago. She walked up to me and she said, I've been watching you in the grocery store. And she said, and I wouldn't know what to do with all of that. And she was gesturing to my grocery cart and all the vegetables and the lettuce and all the things that are in there. And I said, well, I'm the dinner diva. I have savingdinner.com. I handed her a card and I said, just go get a sample week and give it a try. I said, then your grocery cart's going to look like mine. And in her grocery cart, she had Cokes and Diet Cokes and chips and canned this and frozen that and just a bunch of packaged stuff. And it wasn't that it wasn't that I had anything going that was, incredible. It wasn't that I had, the lock on what good, healthy food was. It was that I had something in my cart that she didn't know what to do with. So it was a lack of understanding and a lack of education. And she wanted that for herself. She knew, looking at my cart, that's better. That's going to be better for me in the long run. That's going to feed my children better. This is not new information. But there is a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge and a lack of how do I do it? This is why we start with the sprint. And if you're not a part of it, you need to be. savingdinner.com/sprint. It's free. We start as a group and we get that group community going, and it's just like nothing else. It helps to clear the decks. And the sugar dysregulation that happens to some people is a real phenomenon. And sugar dysregulation just means that you taste sweet, and even though it's not registering sweet in your physiology, your brain is still on fire, and your brain goes, oh, okay, I know what this means. Here comes the insulin. Here comes your blood sugar levels going up. And it's as if you just, drank a Coke or something. That's what sugar dysregulation is. And it can happen to people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. It can happen to people who are just ultra-sensitive. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean that's going to happen to you. And if you really want to find out about it, see how you do with it. Make a fake chocolate cake or make a keto cake, or get some keto ice cream sauce and make a keto this or a keto that. Try it and see. And the way that you're going to test this is to see how you feel about it afterwards, what your inflammation levels are. And if you want to geek out on it, go get yourself a blood glucose meter and then test your blood, an hour after eating it and see if your blood sugar levels have gone up. That's how you know. That's how you know. But we have to understand that the belief of ourselves is often connected to an addiction that we have with food. I know that sounds really weird, but think about it for a minute. That when we have this addiction to food, certain foods, especially foods that we start putting personal pronouns around, like my cheese, my chocolate, my rice, my whatever. When I see that, I know, ooh, we've got an addict here, because we've gone so far as to call them your own, and that we are trying to scoop them in like a mother hen would her chicks. We don't want to let that stuff go. We have all the evidence in the world to show that this isn't working for us. We've got the bloating, we've got the weight gain, we've got skin issues, achy joints, fill in the blank. You've got your roster of things that are telling you it's not working, your complaints, your symptoms. And yet we hold on really, really tight to that food, because that food very often has deep roots. That food goes way down. that food goes way down, and that particular food has an attachment to something that comforted you possibly as a child or later on in life, or triggered something else. And in Body Clutter, that's the book that Marla and I wrote, and we're writing the second volume of this, soon to be named Body Clutter Wise is sort of our working title. We'll see on that. If you've got a good idea for a title, send it in. I'd love to see it. But when we are stuck in this cycle of, I can't let go of that particular food, or to say it's part of my life, let's look for the root. This is where it is this is the digging part. This is where you get out the shovel and start digging. Why? Why can't you let go of that? I had the same thing. My chocolate addiction is well known. I think I've actually, I should probably make a billboard of it. Leanne Ely has a chocolate addiction, has a problem with chocolate. I do have a problem with chocolate. And every single time that I've played with it, every single time that I've tried to not have a problem with chocolate and say, well, I should be able to eat it, and I start shooting on myself, every single time it's come back to bite me in the butt. Literally and figuratively, things blow up. It is not my friend. Is there a time that someday it may be okay? I will tell you right now, I am 61 years old. Perhaps I should just stop playing with this particular fire. Perhaps I should just say, I'm not going to die if I don't eat chocolate again. Now, a chocolate something like a little, desserty thingy when I go to whatever, when I go to a birthday party or whatever, that won't bother me. It's chocolate that's in a bar that you take out. And I don't care about Lily's organic chocolate with the stevia and all of that. I mean, better than ever. But I'll tell you, I did a fat bomb recipe. They're right here. I did fat bombs. They were delicious. With that chocolate, they were delicious. I made myself sick on them. Because it was too much like candy. And the chocolate, the candy, the M&Ms, the problem with the eating of them, that's just, it triggers inside of me this want to do more, want to eat more. One little piece. If I'm sitting with Mark, who is eating a piece of chocolate, I'll answer that in a minute, Margaret, but carob will answer about carob. I'm just writing that down. If I watch Mark eat a piece of chocolate, he takes a piece of chocolate, puts it in his mouth, and he sucks on it. And he enjoys it. And it's delicious for him. When I eat a piece of chocolate, it's like, I'm telling you, it's like a beaver going for a tree. It's foul. It's obscene. It's wrong. If I had a video of me doing that, I would think twice about sharing it, because it's probably disgusting to watch. It's just, I don't know why, but I have some ideas why, but what is the connection? The connection is, it's in Body Clutter. I wrote about it. I had this thing with my dad, and my dad was very much an absentee dad, very English, very, it just was. And I was constantly trying to get myself wrapped around, his approval, always going for his approval. So when we're stuck with something like I am with chocolate, when something like that becomes such a tripping point and a tipping point, I want to say this. One, how much time do you want to spend on that before you just dismiss it and say, you know what, it's just not working for me? How much psychology do you want to start digging? Now, I'll say, yes, dig, and find out what the heck is going on if you have a bunch of stuff that triggers you. And if it's crappy food and whatever, just, you can dig a little bit on and find out about that, but you're going to dismiss it anyway. But when, you've got things like, healthy chocolate, like dark chocolate, 1 ounce a day. It's a superfood. And that's when I say, okay, it's a superfood, but is it a superfood for you? That's where the rub is, because there has to be a connection with what works for you and what doesn't. And if you don't connect the dots on that, do you know what happens? You, in the name of should, go down that rabbit hole and keep tripping over it again and again and again. And, it's just, it's stifling. You will not die if you don't ever eat chocolate again. Just going to say it. Now, I'm using chocolate as an example. And Margaret just asked a minute about carob. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know where you are with this. Carob is okay. Chocolate is a superfood. It's a proven superfood. And I'm talking about me, myself, and I, and how awful I feel about it and how it trips me up. And this is my personal journey. I'm sharing a page from my journal for you, more than one page. I'm sharing 30 years, 40 years. I'm sharing 50 years of a problem that I've had. And I have made a decision that it's not worth my time anymore. It's not worth my health anymore. And who am I fooling? That's what I'm telling you about. Now, don't take my pain and my story and have that become your own. You might have a food like chocolate or something else. You've got to figure that out. That's how it works. So if chocolate is a tripping thing, if this resonates with you, well, you're part of my same sisterhood. And all I'm saying to you is figure out if this is something you want to keep spending time on. Our food addictions are oftentimes connected to something else way back when. And I know what mine is. And I know why I keep going there. So I've decided I'm not going to go there anymore, and I'm not going to play that game anymore, and just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. It's just not worth my time. So there's the thing with chocolate. But it's breaking those patterns and understanding that this was a pattern. This is a place where you'll get that emotional check, that thing inside that makes you go, oh, I need that comfort. And we all look for comfort. And what I'm saying is that's the opportunity to do one of these. I'll show you on my paper. There's your paper right here. That's what it should look like. On one side, you write down all the triggers. You write down all the triggers. What are the things that are triggering you? What are the things that are making you want to go there? That make you want to have that need filled up? What is it that is making you feel bad? One of the things that I wrote about in Body Clutter was that I used fat when I was in a very unhappy marriage. I was married for 17 years, 2 children, very unhappy. It was awful. And there was a lot of things in there that I detailed that I'm not going to get into on Facebook Live, but I detail it in the book. And my fat was my shield. My 237 pounds was pretty effective. It insulated me from having to feel the things. And it also insulated me from the unwanted advances from my husband. And what a horrible thing to say. But chocolate was way more comforting than he was. Chocolate offered me more things than all this other stuff did. I worked hard to get it at the church. I taught, I led retreats, I had my own radio show, worked hard, read my Bible every day, did all the things. And while I still have very deep spiritual beliefs and still very much have my private belief system and all, I recognized that what I was trying to do was to get my love from something that was never going to give me love. You're never going to get it from a bag of chocolate. It's not there. Friendship's not there. Affection isn't there. Love isn't there. People and connection isn't there. And that's what we want. We're looking for that connection always. Always. We're wired that way. And so it's like I said to you earlier, whether you think you can or you think you can't, it's our brain's wiring looking for evidence. And we think when we look at that chocolate that there's evidence there, or whatever it is, fill in the blank for you. We think there's evidence there that's going to comfort us, that's going to give us that connection. And I say, no, it's not. It's going to give us that momentary comfort, and then all of the rest of it happens. And you know the cycle. I've shared that a million times. So to break those patterns, the critical thing to break those patterns and to really get away from that is to make your list. What is it that triggers all of that? What is it that triggers the comfort and the supposed need that makes us want to go there? And what is it that we can do instead? We can break those patterns, and we can look for different evidence to support what it is that we want. We can go from helpless to hopeful. We can dump all of that stuff. And it's within our grasp. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. This is all within your grasp. It's a matter of digging. And when you finally come to a conclusion, like I did with the chocolate, then stop. You're there. Congratulations. Now, carry on. Stop drinking. Stop eating chocolate. Stop smoking cigarettes. Stop the foolish addictive behavior that just leads you down the wrong path. But again, back to the whole thing, we all need to eat. And if we need to eat, we need to dial in and figure out what it is that we need to eat. And I will tell you right now, I will bet you the last dollar that I have in my bank account that everybody with some kind of food addiction, it is all, it's garbage of some kind. Nobody's addicted to broccoli. I have not had one person say, you know what, I can't eat broccoli sprouts because I'm addicted to them. It's going to trip me up. It's going to be a problem. No, not one. No one's ever written in to me and told me that they had issues with eating too many vegetables and they just can't stop once they started. Not a person. But I've heard from addicts, a lot of food addicts. And I know what makes you tick because I am one too. So if we're going to eat, we're going to have to say, okay, the garbage is what takes us down. Then we're going to back away from the garbage and we're going to add the protein. We're going to go target trifecta, folks. That's how we're going to live. And then we're going to dial that in and get our proportions right according to what we need, according to what you as a fearfully and wonderfully and uniquely made woman need. Not my needs, not anybody else's but yours. Not what a guru tells you, not what anybody else tells you. You've got to figure that special equation out. It's yours. How fun. We get to do that. We get to do that. And in between it, I invite you to intermittently fast. Because intermittently fast takes you away from it and gives you a moment to think about it. It gives your body a chance to break the cycle of constantly digestion. And then you can go from a fasted state to a feasting state and feel good and celebrate your meal instead of regretting it later. Target trifecta: protein, fat, and fiber. Every single time you sit down to a meal, that needs to be on the plate. That's your only rule. And that also, that sugar is awful and poisonous. Now the fruit thing, because I've had questions about fruit. Now in this book, which Marla and I are reading and have read, this book, she says fruit is evil. Is it evil? Let me tell you what I think, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Fruit is fine for children, I think. Not a lot of it because it can be too candidized, but I think you need to be very, very, very careful if you're going to go down the fruit path and test it. How does it work for you? How much fruit are you eating? And for it to be a part of your life. If you're going to choose fruit, choose low glycemic fruits and choose something with a lot of fiber. And if you do, it's a serving. And if it doesn't affect your blood sugar levels, if it doesn't affect you on your weight loss plans or whatever, fine. fine. That's where I differ a little bit with Dr. Bosworth. I think we have to test these things for ourselves. We have to do this individually. But if you're sprinting, no fruit. If you're in the hot melt diet group, not so much fruit either, just a little bit of berries on a very rare occasion. I think if you have a sugar problem, I think stepping away from the fruit is a really smart idea, and reassessing it way later. You will not die if you don't eat fruit. I promise you. As a matter of fact, you won't die if you don't eat carbohydrates. If you never had another carbohydrate again, you will not die. So that's it. Yes, I know. We all know that avocados are a fruit, but it's also a very high fat, full of fiber, and it's recommended. I highly recommend avocados, even though they have a whole avocado has 12 grams of carbohydrates, 10 of it is fiber. And although Dr. Bosworth will tell you need to go with total grams of carbohydrates, I go with net, because fiber counts. Fiber is important, and fiber does things for your body that if without the fiber, you're going to really have compromised digestion. Now, there's a group of people out there, and again, back to the whole dogma thing, they're called they do the carnivore diet, and it's all meat. I joined their group on Facebook just because I wanted to see what they were eating. And these people, it's a very interesting thing, and I have a problem with that. We are meant to eat. We are omnivores, not carnivores. Omnivores. And so we need to always go back and deal with our physiology. This is why I don't promote veganism or vegetarianism, because it leads to a B12 deficiency. It does. There's no way to get it other than from animals. Sorry, that's the way it is. And we're omnivores. If it worked, we should be able to get it completely by our food. We don't. So that's how that whole works. So, sorry about that. I did it again. I went crazy. Q&A is on Friday, by the way. That's tomorrow. So if you have a question, send it into support@savingdinner.com. Look what I have. Boop, boop, boop. We might be giving away one or two of these. I have a whole bunch of books. Marla gave me a whole bunch of books that she had in her stash. We've got, including a couple body clutter books. So this one is spoken for. It's our last one. Next week, we're going to be giving away the low carb book, which is right here. So how do you win that? You're asking yourself, right? By sharing. Share this on the public and write a little something on why it's important to be a part of the Facebook live community here on Saving Dinner. And I love you back, Emily. And just make sure that you're saying something about this. I see those, and I pick book winners myself on Mondays because of your sharing. Sharing is caring, you guys, and I love it and I appreciate it. So, hot melters, hot melt dieters, you know who you are. I'm going to see you in the hot melt diet group. We are talking dirty fasting, and we're talking collagen loading, and this is going to be great. I can't wait to share this with you because my brains are just, the top of my head just flew right off. That's all there is to it. All right. Thanks for paying attention to me today. I appreciate it. And if you ever have any questions, please send them in to the Q&A. Mimi, your books have saved my family and I. Thank you. Somebody else said they loved my book. That's so sweet. Well, I have to tell you, I got to get going. I got another Facebook Live to do. Me and my curly hair. So I've got my little magic wand. I'm going to figure it out. How can I find out a hot melt group? If Jennifer, you want to be part of the hot melt group, go to savingdinner.com/melt. And if you buy just one of our hot melt diets, you are in the group and automatically get an invitation to the Facebook group. And that's where you get all the good stuff, right? I'm going a step deeper though. We have the Hot Melt Diet Club, the Hot Melt Club coming. It'll be coming beginning of November. And I'm telling you what, this is the place to go. This is the place to go. I've got all kinds of, look at me. I feel like a teacher. We got all kinds of stuff happening in that. Coaching plus an individual call with me. Yeah, we're going to get on it. We're going to get down to it. And everybody under my care, under my watch, Says Leanne Ely, dinner diva, fasting queen, hot melt queen. Nobody goes down on my watch. I've got your backs. Thanks for joining me today, and hot melters, I'll see you shortly. Bye.